Welcome to Coinology, the podcast. Hey, and welcome to another episode of Coinology. I have none other in the studio today than Miss Mega Minds herself, Tressa Smallwood. You guys give it up for Tressa.
Thank you. I'm so excited about being here, y'all. Ebony is so dope.
Tressa, we've been trying forever to get you in here, right?
No.
Forever. I feel so honored because I know how crazy your schedule is.
Oh, no, I'm honored to be here.
No, thank you. And for those who don't know, Tressa Smallwood is the CEO of Mega Minds Entertainment.
Yep, and it's Mega Mind.
Mega Minds.
And I'm going to tell you why everybody puts the S on it because they know it's my whole family.
Okay.
Everywhere I go, they're like, yeah, we're going to put an S on that because it's a family.
It's a family.
But it's Mega Mind.
Okay, so where did Mega Mind come from? What does it mean?
Yeah, so I came up with the name because I knew that bringing my family into this, because, when I started, I already knew, okay, I'm going to go from books to media and film and production, and I was like, I'm going to take my family with me. So from the beginning, I was like, what is a word? What is a theme? What is a name that will resonate and show that it's all of us? And so when you think about what we do, whether it's, screenplay production, whether it's physical production, whatever it is, it takes a lot of minds to pull us off, right?
So how did you know that your family... let's talk about it. We'll go into it. I want to talk about it because, sometimes we try to push things on our family and that may not be really what they want to do. Yeah. But let's go all the way back. Tressa, tell us a little bit, where are you from?
So I'm from North Carolina.
Okay.
And I was raised with my mom and dad in a small town. Mm-hmm. They moved to Washington, D.C., and I spent a lot of time still in North Carolina with my grandparents.
Okay.
My grandfather, Ernest Tutu Williams, he was a serious entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. So you know how you see people grinding today, they got this job, that job. Mm-hmm. That's how I grew up. And so because my grandfather had all of these jobs, he would come home and was like, you do this, you do that. He was like, you go sweep the pool, you go. Mm-hmm. I grew up with 10,000 jobs. So I always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Okay, so you came out the womb knowing that.
Absolutely.
Because, I think back in the day, Tressa, it was not a thing to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't something that you heard many people talk about. At least I grew up in the Hampton Roads area. Yeah. So everybody had a job. And so talking about entrepreneurship wasn't something that folks talked about. So
I got pushback too from some of my other family members. Okay. On my dad's side of the family, everybody's big in education. Mm-hmm. So family full of teachers. And so my grandmother, on my father's side, she said, I know you want to be an entrepreneur, but you need to go to school. Mm-hmm. And so I went to college, graduated undergrad, and then I went back to school and got a master's in education. Okay. So I'm not your typical entrepreneur, but I grew up knowing, okay, I'm gonna get this education because my grandmother over here said do that, but I'm also going to go after my heart and I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
When people say I'm going to be an entrepreneur or I have my own business, I often say, okay, but what is your business, right? So when you were young, did you know what type of business you wanted to have? You just knew you wanted a business.
I knew I wanted a business, and I always grew up with a lot of mentors. And so those mentors told me that in order to be successful at business, you need many skill sets. So they were like, whatever skill set you're getting over here while you're teaching, it's going to help you. Whatever skill set you had when you worked at a retail establishment, it's going to help you. Mm-hmm. Whatever experience you had over here. And so when I think about all of the jobs that I've had, whether it was customer service based, whether it was in a financial industry, it's all helping me now.
Again, exposure. So important. Because again, like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't have exposure to mentors that said, think about entrepreneurship, right? Most of my mentors were guiding me into a job of sorts, right? So I think that is so important. And I think it's also important when you say about every job that you had, though. I do know that every single job that I had, I did take something from it. I took something that I liked and something I did not like, right? Even when I go back to my very first job, Tressa, which was at McDonald's, right? The customer is always right.
Okay.
Right? They're always right. And that is what McDonald's taught me out of everything else. And I think that in itself is one of the key principles that I use today in business. Yeah. So, okay, you go off. Education is important. Yes. You go away to school. Yeah. All right. You major. You come back out. You work a little bit, and then you go back and get your master's. Yes. Right. Yes. So, what did you end up doing as your first career pick?
So, I started teaching. Okay. That was let me go back. Be even prior to teaching. Okay. So always marketing. Always. I'm a people person. Okay. So marketing was my thing. Right out of college, I sold retirement plans. I learned the art of no means not right now. Mm-hmm. And that's a skill set that I carry today. So even in the film and television industry and networks are like, yeah, no. I'm like, yeah, not right now. Right, not right I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be pitching you that again, just in another way.
Another format, right?
Yeah, it never bothers me. Mm-hmm. No should not be something that takes you out. It just means not right now. And so I learned that before I started teaching.
Mm-hmm. I often say this, Tressa, that if you don't know how to sell, if you're not a salesperson, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
If you do not like people,
absolutely,
you need to think twice about being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Because you have to be able to sell yourself, your services. You have to be able to sell water to a well. Yes. And if you don't like to deal with people and you can't take rejection, you need to leave it alone,
it's
right?
not going to work out. Or partner up with someone who does have, if they have that skill set, they can be your business partner.
So business partnerships. Yeah. You're okay. You co-sign that.
Yeah, I co-sign it, but you got to do it the right way.
Okay. What's the right way?
The right way is legal. Documentation, right? Not just Ebony, let's join forces, we're going to do this. It's Ebony, we just had a verbal conversation, now let's paper this. Everything needs a contract.
Everything. With mom, everybody. I agree with that. Yeah. And I think the other thing too, people need to be more selective on their business partners like they are with their mate.
Absolutely.
Their business partners should provide them with something that they don't already have. Absolutely. A skill set in that space.
Absolutely.
So that's important. Okay, so you were in sales and marketing.
Yes. And then I went back to school to get my master's. Started teaching. Once I got my master's, started teaching. I've taught 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. But listen, the Lord knew I was going to need that skill set as a teacher to help me do what I do now, right? Because on every film set, I'm hiring at least 100 people. So I take that same mentality as a teacher. For every movie, it's like, oh, here's my new class. And now you got to treat everybody with love and care, whether they act right, whether they don't act right, all of these personalities, every time. That's exactly why
the patience. You do have a very calming spirit, and I could see the teacher in you. Yeah. So how long did you teach?
I taught for 3 years.
Okay.
Then that's when life changed for me. I ended up getting pregnant. My daughter Bailey, who's now 24, so that tells you how long ago that was. The doctor put me on bed rest for 6 months because I was having issues with pregnancy. And while on bed rest, I knew, again, the entrepreneur in me said, don't sit at home and flip the remote.
Okay.
Do something amazing. I wrote a book, a novel called A Life to Remember. And I wrote that book while on bed rest. Learned to self-publish. Self-publishing was not popular back then. Everybody kept saying, why are you doing that? How are you going to do it? The business mindset in me made it happen. Sold my very first 5,000 copies. Printed 5,000 copies. Sold them within the first 60 days. Made like $40,000. I was like, wait a minute now.
Back then, you sold that many books.
Back then.
Because, at that point, you can't just go to the local church and sell that many books.
We sold them through a lot of the distributors in New York.
Okay.
And so, as a teacher with a master's back then, I was making like $42,000. So, something said, okay, wait, you like this. Maybe you should give this a shot, and this can be a side business. That's what I thought that was.
Okay.
But while I was on maternity leave, it just morphed into something bigger. We kept selling, and I was like, wait. I might need to go back and do this again. And because I loved it, it was a passion for me, I continued to do it. I even went back and published some of my students.
So how did you know when it was time to transition completely away from teaching and going straight into that?
I think because it happened so quickly and because I was already on bed rest. I went from bed rest to delivery to maternity leave. It just gave me that space and that window. Timing was just on my side. And I was like, wait. So I never went back to work.
Oh, so you just never...
never went back.
You just called them back because I'm staying home with the baby.
Yeah, never went back.
And so did you ever regret saying, I'm never going back within that first year?
No. And so because I had a lot of relationships within the schools, I would go back in to help the students, to mentor, to speak, still do it to this day. I have a lot of programs where I go back into the schools, work with youth all the time, both in the film and television industry and outside of the industry.
So how many books did you write?
So I've written 7 books myself, but I've published 30 other authors. And within those 30 authors, I have about 130 plus books at this point under my label. Some of them we've sold off. A lot of them we've made movies. Like you came to one of the premieres for Married to a Baller. That was based off of one of the books that I published.
Wow.
So, now, of course, book to film adaptations, we hear about them a lot more in the independent space. And so I have that catalog, but I also have a huge movie catalog.
So publishing, would you recommend that most authors move into that space? I mean, what skill set would you need to have in order?
I think as long as you have the ability to both write, which is a creative talent, right? But also have the business mindset, right? Because just like you said, if you're not going to open your mouth, right, how can you sell? I've been to book events and authors are like sitting behind the table and just sitting there. And I'm like, you should get up and walk around and say hello, put your book in somebody's hand. And so they just don't have the skill set. So the recommendation would be for people who have the ability and the skill set to promote themselves.
At one point, I remember, and this was probably, late 2017, 2018, 2016, Kindle. Yeah. A lot of authors were making millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then there was a bust.
Yep.
I remember hearing through the grapevine that there were authors that had, gotten other folks overseas to write the books for them or whatever. Either way, Amazon caught on to it and there was a bust in the industry. And now it's slowed down quite a bit.
For sure.
Yeah. So I know a lot of publishing houses had to pivot. Was that around the time that you pivoted?
Well, we pivoted a little bit before that. And my pivot was because I had a lot of producers and production companies trying to buy the rights to our books so that they could turn them into movies. Okay. And at the time, I didn't even know how to produce a movie. I didn't even think it was possible, right? And so around 2014... I started saying, okay, let me learn how to produce a movie. And of course, I know that in anything new that you do, you need to go get a mentor. You need to start taking classes. You need to start learning. So I would go to film festivals. I'm taking classes. I'm doing everything necessary to learn to produce my very first movie, which, by the way, I ended up shooting that movie in November of 2015. So this November, 2025, will make 10 years for me.
10 years.
10
Amazing.
years.
And that's about right, because I think the very first time I saw you, Tressa, when you came across my timeline, my late mentor, you may know him because he was a huge fan of yours, Bobby Burwell from Yes, but I love
goodness.
Bobby was my mentor. I loved him. He was so near and dear to me. But I remember he inboxed me and he said, I want you to keep your eyes on her. You were working on a project with Tracy Braxton, the late Tracy Braxton, right? I used to represent Tawanda Braxton and some of the Braxton girls and so forth. And so he kept saying, I want you to pay attention to her.
Wow.
And so then I started following you then, and he was a big supporter of the project that you had with Tracy Braxton.
Okay.
You guys had a big premiere, I think, up in DC.
Yeah.
And so I started following you then and watching your journey, and then it started with me. I don't know if that was the first movie that you had done.
That was my third movie.
The third movie. But see, you see how sometimes it takes a while for it to get around. So then I saw that, and I was okay. Then I just kept seeing you were going and going and going and going, right? So talk to me about Megamind, right? How did you create it? What is it, the fabric of Megamind made of?
Yeah, it's a very, very unique, non-traditional company, and the way we got our start is very non-traditional. So my sister is married to Dante Lee, who's my business partner. And so in 2014, I remember going to their house. They lived 3 doors down from me.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I want to produce my very first movie. I've already done the groundwork. I've been studying for a year. I need $250,000. Can you partner with me? And you see how your head was like, most people,
right?
Most people are like, I don't know nobody that'll even give me $50,000.
Right.
But I knew that he was an entrepreneur, a risk taker, very successful at business, totally not in the film and television business, but I had a track record. They already knew I had my own successful book publishing company. So it was not like you're getting ready to invest or bet on somebody who you already know, they know what to do. And so he started asking the questions that most people would ask, like, how are we going to get our money back? Who do you know that's going to buy this movie once, just all the important questions. I had all the answers. And so from that moment on, we set out to form Megamind. I knew that with my brother-in-law becoming my business partner, my sister was going to be on board for whatever we needed, right? At the time, my thought was that my sister was going to be our accountant because she has a degree in accounting. It didn't work out that way. She ended up coming on board to be lead costume designer because she is a celebrity stylist.
Okay.
We ended up hiring another family member who's a CPA. And I know we're going to talk about family and these skill sets, but it was like I had everything that I needed right there to start. And so what we did not have, we had the money. We had some skill set, right? But with me going to take classes, go to film festivals, it was okay for me to have that knowledge. But the one thing that I did that I feel like determined our future and the success was that I hired a producer and director who had already produced successful movies before.
Okay.
And I brought them to DC. We put them up in a house, and they lived there while we prepped and shot the movie. That was the key to making it work, because a lot of times people will just think, I'm going to do it myself. And I was like, yeah, nah, I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to watch y'all do it because I don't really know what to do. I have some knowledge, but I've never done this before.
That's the challenge I think most people have. They don't want to take the time out to learn. They want to come out already saying, I'm an expert.
They want to take the elevator.
Right.
No stairs.
No stairs. And I think the other part I think is important here is, one, many financiers will tell you when you're first starting a business, you should start with asking families and friends and crowdfunding and things of that nature, because a lot of banks aren't going to bet on you at that beginning stage. But the other part of it, I think is most important, is how are we going to get our money back? Asking those questions, and have you invested in yourself?
Absolutely.
I often tell people, Tressa, don't come to me asking me to invest in you and you haven't invested in yourself.
Right.
And if I'm the only person that's going to lose in this is not a good deal.
No. And we're not. We're walking away from that.
You're not going to do that. Okay, so then you start with a small family structure. Was there ever a time when you said, I am going to make this a family business, or did it just so happen to be that way?
Well, I knew going in, the moment that my brother-in-law said yes, because the same amount of money I was asking him to put in, I'm matching it. So I knew we were equal partners, and because he's married to my sister and we already have close-knit family, I already knew at that point, yes, we're going to name it Megamind. This is going to be a family business. And I already knew at that point, I said, I'm going to build a film catalog just like I built my book catalog, right? Because, these catalogs, just like we hear in music, Michael Jackson has a catalog and, different artists has a catalog. These catalogs are very profitable. So I already told my brother-in-law the same way I built this book catalog and it's worth this amount, this is what we're going to build. So not only did we know from day one that's what we were going to do, today we have a film catalog where we own 40 films. And so most independent companies, it's very challenging to do that.
So, but this is the other thing. How did you resonate in your mind? So you put up 250, he put up 250. If it did not work.
Yeah, there was no did not work.
So that was never.
Yeah, that was never.
So you already, when you went into the venture, your mind was already set.
Yeah. Because let me tell you this. The only way that it would not have worked is, let's say, for example, while we were shooting, we did something to mess up the footage, or because having a movie is digital, is really digital real estate, right? And so if you cast it right, you get the right talent, and you have a quality product, why would you not be able to license and relicense to different platforms, right? And even back then, our goal in our head was as simple as, even if we just license it to a BET or a company that buys black content, we're going to win. Who knew that today we would have Hulu and Tubi and Peacock? That wasn't even thought about, right? And so that plan really just superseded everything that's happening, superseded what I thought.
But Tressa, you're taking the approach that, so that's just like Kobe or Michael Jordan saying, I knew I was going to go to pros and I was going to be a superstar, right? Because you think about it, I don't know the numbers. Fonz probably can help us with how many young men try to go into the NBA every year. About how many try to go into, do you know?
I mean, numbers-wise, it's about 4,000 that enter the draft, 300 get picked in basketball. In football, it's a little bit more.
And you say 4,000 enter the draft, but it's a whole lot of kids that wanted to enter the draft and never got to the draft. So you think about how many filmmakers are out there, and they all have the desire to get the licensing deal from a BET. And they have great products.
Here's the difference, right? So think about even now, children saying, I want to, get to the draft. Their success is dependent upon someone else saying yes or no. My success is not dependent upon anybody else, because there are platforms and things in place where if everybody told me no right now, I could go to megamymedia.net and put my movie on there and do the necessary marketing, and they can go pay straight to me.
Straight to you. But that's today, right?
It's always been that way.
Okay, so people just didn't know. People
didn't know. Even back then, right? I was publishing books. People could come to my website and buy the books. They didn't have to go to Kindle. They didn't have to go to Amazon.
So you said, I'm betting on myself.
I'm betting on myself.
Well, the thing about it, too, is there's also a period of time, Tressa, too, where independent movies weren't as popular. Like Tubi really put a stamp on indie movies. I remember back in the day when Kenya did Twa and all that. And I remember saying, okay, this is great, but but now people can spend all day on a Saturday watching independent movies.
For sure. And those independent filmmakers are getting paid, because those people who watch those movies all day, they're watching the ads. And those ads turn into money, and they show up in your account as an independent filmmaker.
So okay. So you said, I'm going to bet on myself.
Yes.
All right. So now you and your brother have Megamind.
Yes.
And then when do you start bringing on other... When do you know it's time to scale?
Yeah, so it took us a long time to scale. So what happened was we started getting into the flow of, all right, here are the movies that we're going to continue to bring in family and friends and invest in these different movies. We're going to produce them ourselves, because, again, the biggie for us is ownership, right? And in order for you to own it, you've got to put up some money, right? You don't just own it. So, a lot of times when I meet filmmakers, the first thing they say is, I want to be on Netflix. I want to be on Lifetime, right? And everybody has a different goal. Not realizing that some of these networks, when you get with them, whether you're producing, directing, talent, or whatever, you really work for hire, right? And it's honorable. It's great. If you have a different business mindset and your mindset is I need to own it, then you got to do something different. And to do something different is you need some skin in the game, right? You need some capital. That's the route that we took, and that's what's very different from some of what's going on. Like there are a lot of independent filmmakers who have to make those decisions.
And I'm sure it's pretty hard to continue to generate the supporters if they don't understand the model. So do you find yourself having to go and have investor meetings where you're inviting people out?
We used to have investor meetings back in the day, but our investor meetings were just with family and friends.
Okay, so you specifically picked who you wanted.
Yeah.
So would you turn, is there such thing as bad money? Would you turn?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do you know when, you're in need of money, you're in need of capital, that I need to turn this down?
Yeah, I think that you got to start with the verbal conversations and being honest about, hey, if you can't get this money back for 3 years, what does that mean for you? Let's check the temperature on that. And if they're like, oh, I can't wait 3 years, they shouldn't be your investor.
That's right.
Right? And especially in our world, in the movie business, right? If we go and produce a movie tomorrow, you gotta go into physical production, then you gotta go into post-production, then it has to premiere, then you gotta pitch it to the networks to get you need time to get your money back. So it's not for the faint at heart, for sure.
I know one of the things, and we'll go back to the decisions, but one of the things I admire so much about you is you're probably one of the few filmmakers that I've worked with that have said, does it make sense to do a premiere? A lot of people today are willing to put their last dollar in to have a big premiere, to be able to both shine, do these things for people to say great and hit like on social media. And I remember you saying to me, Ebony, if the networks aren't putting the money in for this, it doesn't make me any money. So I'm not going to do it. Meanwhile, you're still producing 40-something movies, right?
Yeah, honey. Listen, it goes back to who has the business sense, right? And everybody does not have it. Like we are all gifted with something, right? We're all good at something. I am getting ready to release 6 movies between now and December 31st. I will not be having a premiere for all of those movies.
How do you know when? So how do you decide which ones you're going to do?
Yeah, you really have to think through a lot of things. Who's the talent that can get people out, that can get the media out? Where is it, right? Where did you shoot the film? Do you need to have the premiere in LA? If you're having it in LA, I don't even live in LA, so now I need hotel, flights. I mean, everything is go down the checklist of all of the things that make you say, should I do it? Or every project just has to be evaluated. And I just think that a lot of people with the creative mindset, which is a great gift, right? We all have different gifts. One gift does not, mean that it's better than another. But when you are talking about premieres and money, somebody with some business sense needs to step in.
That's right. And I think the creative piece is, which is nothing wrong with it, you want people to see your work. Yeah. So you want to have that premiere. You want people to see even that small little piece at the bottom of the screen or whatever. I remember, at Emily. I love Emily.
Oh my goodness, she's so
and
amazing.
She was at the end of the Q&A. She was talking about the coloring and and we're all like, we didn't even notice, but see, she noticed every small detail because that is her baby. That is her baby. Okay, so let's go back. Family and friends, you tap them on the shoulder, so you specifically choose who's going to be a part of this journey with you, right?
Absolutely. I have 3 investor friends. I'm not even going to say their names because people are going to be out there trying to find them. But I have 3 investor friends. They're all males.
Okay.
They have invested in at least 8 to 10 movies.
Okay.
And once they invested in the first one, they got their money back. They was like, all right, when is the next one? And all of my investors, they are participating in perpetuity, which means we're 10 years in, right, from the first movie. Second movie we shot in 2017 or 18, right? They're still getting checks off of those movies. So it proved to be a great investment for them. Also for me, because they kept investing, we never needed to expand the pool to go outside of them. The other thing is, of course, after time, we didn't really need investors anymore. And not to say we'll never need any investors, but for our average movie, we don't really need investors at this point.
That's a good place to be.
Absolutely. We can get out to the Lord and say thank you, okay?
Yes, that is. So let's talk about the skill set. So when you are scaling for your business, how do you know that I need to hire my cousin or my aunt or my friend, or I'm going to go out and hire someone that's an unknown talent?
Yeah, so the only unknown talent that we hire would be in the world of, physical talent in front of the camera, right? So our actors, actresses, etc. As it relates to behind the camera in production, we don't do a lot of outside hiring. We have the teams that we work with. We have a LA team, we have a Miami team, we have a Kentucky team, and we have a DC, Maryland team.
Okay.
And if we need to go film somewhere else, we take one of those teams and we send them.
How did you build them? How did you know that this was going to be your...
Trial and error over time. You work with somebody and you say, oh my goodness, like this new movie that we have coming out next week, the producers of that project, two young ladies, Deshawn and Sade, I'd worked with them previously. And so I needed to shoot that movie in LA. You pick up the phone and call Old Faithful, right? You're like, ladies, y'all, are you free? Let's shoot this movie. And they know everybody to hire. I don't have to run to LA trying to find, a makeup artist, a hairstylist. They know all the people. They bring them in. I hire at the top, and we don't really need to keep looking.
And you don't have to keep worrying about what the outcome would be, because you know what
I already
it
know.
is, right?
They're going to deliver on time. Network is going to be happy. I'm happy. Obviously, it takes time to build those relationships.
What are the key elements that you're looking for someone to say, I want to catch Tressa's attention? I want to be a part of that. What are those 5 things that you saw in these individuals that made you say, I want to continue to use you?
Yeah, I think, they're producers, but they also have the writing skill set. They're screenplay writers as well. I like hiring producers who have that extra skill set, because now I don't have to worry about a producer being in production and not knowing, from a creative standpoint, we should do this, we should change that. If you get into a bind, you now know as a screenwriter, I can go and change this part and this can still make sense. So those are the best producers for me to hire. Of course, I get a lot of people who say, I've produced and I want to produce for you, not realizing that at this point we've scaled our business. And so we need to kind of go with the people who already have the blueprints in place to just keep the train going. Because last year in 2024, we shot 12 projects. In 2025 we've already produced 8. And we still have a couple of more that we need to do. So
for you, there's no new friends. That could have been your song, right? That could have been your song versus started from the bottom.
Well, here's the thing. My new friends are typically in the world of screenwriting right now. Right? Because we're looking for writers who have faith-based projects. We're looking for writers who have romance projects, and the romance can be just true love, or it could be romance thrillers. And so because we're gearing up for all of our shoots in 2026, we're now getting ready to shoot 20 movies in 2026.
So how would someone get your attention? If they're a faith-based film writer, how would they get your attention?
Yep, to have an amazing treatment. Which a lot of filmmakers go straight to the screenwriters. They go straight to the script. I'm looking for a good treatment, right? A good treatment, a good pitch deck. I'm in.
Really?
I'm in.
But they also got to get your attention.
They got to get my attention, right? And so, just really, really studying your craft, right? Back to people just jump on the bandwagon. They're like, this independent filmmaking thing seems great.
It seems easy, right?
Yeah, it seems easy. And, here's the thing. For me, this is like something that I share all the time. My very first screenplay that I wrote, it was terrible. I mean, terrible. Because I came from the author world. And I was writing my screenplay like I wrote my books. And it's 2 different things. And so I see a lot of authors who are just jumping out there writing screenplays. And I get it, because I did it. But I was smart enough that when my friends told me in the industry, they was like, this is not good enough. This should not be your first movie into the business. I backed off. I did another movie first, which was called Secrets. And then I came back after I studied, took some more classes. I came back to produce All In, which is the screenplay that I wrote. But that screenplay was not good at first.
So are you in the mindset now of a succession plan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, honey. I'm going to be on the French Riviera just chilling. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be so good. I've already planned.
Okay, so I'm sure is it a niece, a daughter?
Yeah, so my niece, Kanae, works in the business. She is production designer for Megamind. She is available for other people, y'all. I'm going to just tell y'all, she is available for other people. But go watch some of her work, right? She's been production designer on The Sound of Christmas, Style Me for Christmas, Trophy Wife, like just so many really good movies that we've done. But she's young and wants to continue doing this for 20 more years. And my daughter Bailey works in the business. She works in the makeup department. She loves the glam of it all. Again, talking back to my sister who's costume designer. All of the Megamind movies have a certain look, right? They look very upscale. No matter how much money we have, they're going to look upscale. And it's because of that team. And so we talk often about the succession plan. Again, the film catalog is worth a lot. One day I'll decide whether I'm selling, leveraging, whatever I'm going to do. But we've done exactly what we said we would do.
Amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah,
that
I'm
is
excited.
That's a big deal. I know some of the things that you and I talked about too is you not only your mother, not only are you your aunt, not only are you a business owner, filmmaker, producer, director, so you are a wife.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we talked about before the camera start rolling is some of the the balancing acts, right? You've been on the road quite a bit, right? And I was sharing with you because you and I both were just vacationing in the Bahamas, and we saw each other, but we didn't, right?
Yeah. I got one hug, and then I don't think I saw you anymore.
And I think I was sharing with you, I went on that trip, and it was a woosah for me. I needed some time away from husband, from kids, from work, from friends. I just needed me. Yeah. And sometimes we stay on the go so much, we forget about us, right? Yeah. How do you maintain you? Like being on the road all the time and still having to make sure that you are still pouring into him and the kid. Like, what does that look like, Tressa?
Yeah, it gets rough. You have to be very intentional to say, hey, I'm doing a lot. Let me plan something for, my husband and I. Let me plan something to go somewhere with my daughters. Let me do something with them because they can feel it. They're like, hey, we get it. It's another movie coming out, but they're proud of you, but at the same time, it's like, this is a lot. And so for me, I just make sure that I'm pre-planning. I'm trying to find ways. We do a lot. We take a lot of vacations together as a family.
Okay, good.
And so we make sure that we do that, but it still gets rough. Now, the great thing for me is that my husband is an entrepreneur as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's sitting at home like, did you cook dinner? Where are you?
Mm-hmm. He has things to keep him busy too.
Yeah, he's working hard too. Mm-hmm. And so we meet up in cities. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, drop me at the airport. All right, I'm going to meet you here.
Intentional.
Yeah, so it works. But he understands that I need to slow down a little bit. The other thing is we're very intentional about on Sundays, we going to church. Mm-hmm. I don't care whether we flying in, we going, whatever it is, we make sure that's
so that is that day.
That is the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if we happen to be out of town, then we're going to watch online. But that's our day where we're absolutely together. Mm-hmm. But we have a really big family. Mm-hmm. So it's always trying to figure out how can you do things with people. I literally went to the football game with my dad the other night and then flew out the next morning.
So family is very, very important to you.
Yes.
What do you think? What is that element? What do you think that thing is that made family so important? Because I'm a family girl too. Yeah. So what is it about
I grew up like that.
Yeah.
I grew up with a big family. All of my cousins that we grew up together. At my grandmother's house in North Carolina, all of my mom's sisters, brothers, they sent all their children to my grandmother's house. And so I was the oldest cousin. So every day it was like, y'all, this is the plan. This is what we gonna do. They laugh about it even till today. They like, this business stuff, you was doing that back then. Always planning.
The pressure though, do you feel pressure sometimes though? You gotta think about it because everybody's looking for Tressa.
Yeah.
And I know there's had to be some times where you've had to say no.
Yeah. Oh, right? I just check out. You know, there'll be moments where they're like, well, what are we going to do? I'm like, yeah, no, y'all will figure it out. Y'all are armed with the right tools. You will figure it out. You know, so there are some days. It's definitely pressure, but I literally have been doing it my whole life.
The big cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next, Tressa? What can we expect next from you?
So next, we are building a studio and educational center.
Okay.
And I'm more excited probably about the educational piece than the studio part.
Makes sense now.
Because we're going to be training both the youth and adults in all things, not just film and television, but entrepreneurial skill sets, financial literacy. That's a biggie for me because, you got Coinology, honey. We just get to the coins, okay? But a lot of times people are so caught up on making the money. Well, you got to know how to keep the money.
That's right.
Right? What's the point of making money if you don't know the strategies to keep it?
That's right.
And so I want to teach that.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah, I am so excited.
Is that going to be here or Maryland?
It's going to be in Maryland. Okay, it's going to be in Maryland, and we plan to break ground end of 2026. The plans have already been in motion. We have all the renderings. I'll be able to come back and share with you. You'll be at the grand opening.
Yes,
it's
I
will
be.
So amazing.
I'll be right there. I'm so excited for you, Tressa.
Me too.
Again, to see all of the movement. From the movie number 3 to now you're at 40
something. It's like
10 years in.
10-year anniversary in November.
Wow. Are you doing something big in November for?
So we're not. What we're gonna do is it's kind of like a digital celebration because we want to have our actual party on the grounds of our new studio.
That makes sense. And I know that was Tressa again saying we're going to save the money from this and put it there because we're not going to just do a party for the sake of doing a party.
Yeah, I want people to just stop spending money out here just to spend.
I know.
And stop trying to impress people who don't have any money.
Right.
Ooh,
what is going on? So do you think that's the biggest problem that we're facing right now?
Absolutely. And I think we have to teach our babies. As adults, we can sometimes be the problem, right? But you really need to think about your babies and teach them because otherwise they will spend money the rest of their lives trying to impress other people who probably don't even have any money.
Yes. Let me ask you this too. When you think about the impressing of other people and people buying and not buying, where did you get your financial literacy? Like, how did you learn that element?
Probably my same grandmother who told me that I needed to have a degree no matter what. When I told her I was going to be an entrepreneur, she was the one that always taught me. Now, don't get me wrong. I have had my fair share of it trying to impress people. So growing up as a teenager and right out of college, I was buying Gucci, Louis. I mean, I had it all. And to the point where I used to have to hide it. Because if she saw it, she was going to say something. And she used to, she had a potty mouth and she would say, you wearing these people's stuff on your behind and you don't even got no money. You got this Louis bag and you don't even have enough money in your bank account to cover the, I mean, she used to literally give it to me. And it resonated with me. So, of course, as I started maturing and, had my own children and got married, I was like, I like this stuff, but you do it within reason. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, why am I doing that? Do you really need 12 Louis Vuitton bags?
Or do you need the new Lambo?
Right.
With the suicide doors.
Listen, and this is the thing. Somebody asked me, how did I get the $250 for my first movie? Why, how did I just have that money?
Yes.
I literally, I had a Porsche. It was leased to my company. Turned that in. A lot of other things that I had, like high-end stuff, didn't really need it. By the time I said, I got money. I'll have money. I just got to let go of some of this stuff that I don't need. And so sometimes you're looking for investors. You're trying to figure out how you can afford some things. Sacrifice a little bit. Go without something.
Well, that goes back to what we said earlier. Are you willing to invest in yourself? And most people aren't. But another thing that you said that I think is important, I want to really stress, is I had the same conversation with my kids. For me, what was important was that both of my children go off to college and graduate. Now, what you choose to do afterwards, it's up to you if you want to be an entrepreneur, because I really push whatever it is that you want to do, but I do want you to have that degree, because I believe that you need to always have something to fall back on.
Right.
But what I will say is some of the most successful people that I've met, Tressa, don't have degrees.
I know. And I can remember even telling my grandmother this. That was one of my arguments. Like, hey, some of these, she's like, you gonna have one. Right?
That's right.
And I'm glad that I did it. I think I was rebelling as well, because most of my family members on my father's side, they are teachers. And so I was like, I'm not going to be a teacher. And I was just saying that because I felt like they wanted to control my life. I ended up being a teacher. Love it. I will teach until the day I die, honey. I love it. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm always going to teach.
You have a teaching spirit in the background.
Yeah, it's what I love.
Well, thank you so much for coming out today, Tressa. I know you're super busy.
I love it. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad you came. So thank you so much. And thank you. And we'll see you next time on Coinology.
Money on E, can't keep a little model hands off me. Both in the club, high singing on P. And I wish I never met her at all. It gets better, ordered another round. It's about to go down. Got 6 model chicks, 6 bottles of Chris. 4 billionaires, got weed everywhere. What do you say? Need you in your Chloe glasses. Go somewhere private where we can discuss.
You think my hair got longer for real?
Welcome to Coinology, the podcast.